And
Woohoo!
we're live. Hello, Tech Talk Worldwide, and good morning, Kim, or afternoon.
It is afternoon, isn't it?
It is. And so we might have a third guest on the screen today. Becky is still trying to do some connections on there. So you guys, welcome to our very first episode of Coffee Talk. So today, so far, we're going to have Kim and I. This is something that we've been planning for a while. So once a month, and we'll set it up in the events, we're going to come on talking about 30 minutes about one topic. And today, Kim and I chose commission versus booth rent. And so we're going to try to stick to the point, keep this to around 30 minutes, and just continue to get the education out there that you guys need. So, yeah. So, hi, Kim.
Hi. How are we?
Good. Very good.
Good.
Okay.
Joanne says hello, and so does Gail.
I'm going to find you guys too. So, once again, this is we're going to consider these hot topics. And so this is a commission versus booth rent. When I very first started in the industry years and years ago, most people went commission because you didn't know where to get your products. Usually the salon owner always already knew where to get it, already had an in with the distributor or whatnot. And I've learned a lot of things over the years about commission versus booth rent. And so I know that around the world you might have different regulations of what you have to do. I know just from state to state we have different regulations and laws. And so I can only speak for the Wyoming. And so, share in the comments, even if you're watching replay, what's common in your area so that we can help each other know what the best option is. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
So when you first started out, Kim, were you commission or booth rent?
I was commission. So I was commissioned at the salon I was at. It was a 60-40 split. They provided basically the base products. So my clear gel, my white gel to do, your French manicure look, white and pink acrylic, a few colors, files, primers, forms, and just your basics that you need to actually do a nail on a person. And so, and she even actually provided us our lights as well to cure our gel.
Yeah.
So, Cassie's sitting here listening and she goes, she didn't for me because Cassie started at the same salon that I was at.
And you know what? Sometimes in salons, it's not the same. Sometimes the owner will say, oh, I think I can make more money off of this person, so I'm going to do a commission. And then sometimes they're like, oh, they might not have it yet, so I'll do booth rent. And so you might have different things in your salon, but it's nice when everybody is on the same page.
Right. I mean, it made it nice, especially like for me starting in the industry, not having to buy product, not having to buy anything. She provided everything. And then like the extra colors, the extra everything, I was able to buy myself, but at least we had something to start with.
Yeah, exactly. So when I first started, which you guys know, I started my salon 27 years ago. My mother had already had a salon, so I understood the difference between the commission and the booth rent. However, I didn't have the funds to supply the products to all of the techs. So I had to start with them giving me a booth rent so I can build it up. Later on, when I was able to have a bigger salon, about 4 years later, I opened up another location and brought in more techs. And by then I was able to do a combination of both. I can tell you as a salon owner, in both of these scenarios, I think it's important to have a contract. And in the contract, as the salon owner, you need to know what you're supplying and what your tech is supplying. And so, for instance, when I first started and they started me on commission, they didn't allow me to choose what product I was using. So we had to use OPI odorless. We had no other choice than that. And she wouldn't supply the files. She wouldn't supply some of the other core things that we needed. And so I was still commissioned, giving her a percentage, which we were 60-40. And I just kept thinking, I don't like this commission. I didn't like that somebody had control over the products. I didn't have that. So if you choose commission, make sure that not only is the percentage a good percentage for both of you, but as well as are they going to give you a budget where monthly you can choose a new product? Are you going to have, a say in what products you can use? The other thing I found with commission is that the techs didn't seem to care about product loss. And so I would see that they were healthy, or they didn't care about the products that they were wasting. And I knew that was my money. And so I had a hard time with that. So I was better with booth rent.
Yeah, that's one thing like that I noticed too, like in the salon, being in the salon, I've been in the salon my whole entire career, is, when I was commissioned, it was not my dime that I was using the products on. And so I was very careful about what loss I had in product versus using it and having it there for your clients. And my salon owner was really good about making sure we always had product on hand. We never had to worry about it. We'd get big tubs of 16 ounces of clear gel, and so we'd just refill them. And she was really good about that because she'd buy it in gallons. Okay. So we were able to really, get that and have that as a backup. So we didn't have to run to a beauty supply. We didn't have to go certain places just to get our product for what our clients' needs were.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think commission is great for a tech that's first starting out. Usually on commission though, sometimes you don't have keys to the salon. You don't get to access it at your timing. You only get to access it during the hours that they schedule for you. So commission is usually a bigger corporation as well. They buy in bulk and they, have the products there. If you, you can always negotiate all of that, but I do highly recommend one of the biggest two of the biggest problems that people have with commission is one, they don't get control their hours. They don't get to control the products that they use. And then with that, on commission, a lot of times the salons say that you have to do a full set in less than 2 hours. They even try to judge your quality of time. So make sure you negotiate that and put it in your contract that it needs to be revisited within like 6 months and then a year. And then as your clientele builds up and your speed gets there and you know what products you want, and then you have that clause that you can still work with. And so you be in control, and you have to interview the salon just as they're interviewing you to make sure that it's a good fit. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think too, a lot of that is being mindful of what your, how do I want to say this? On how you do your sets, like time-wise. If you can do sets under 2 hours, tell them that's not possible. Can we renegotiate this until I know for a fact I can do that, or vice versa. Because, as you're talking, like I never had to sign a contract when I first signed on. Like I've never had to sign a contract in any of them. But I was scheduled to be there. The salon owner, she had me scheduled from 9 to 5 every day. I had 2 days off, or 1 day off a week plus Sunday. So it was, this is how that you need to be here regardless if you have an appointment. Bring a book. I don't care. You're going to be sitting. And that's basically how it was laid out to me. And so then as I was sitting there, I came in at the right time at the salon because I was available, and the 10 other nail techs that were there with me, they were all full. So I got all of the call-ins. So I had a full clientele within 6 months, but it's because I sat there on my butt doing nothing, reading a book or practicing.
Yes, doing the time. No matter if you're booth renter or commission, that you always have to do the time. Yeah, exactly that. And
I think that's what made the difference too, is having, you're required to be there. Being commissioned, you were required to be there, so you were available. So that kind of helps too with, bringing in your clientele, I guess, too.
Mm-hmm. And make sure that when you're signing on for commission or booth rent, that they also are giving you an allowance for advertising, that they will advertise for you, whether it's on Facebook or social medias or in person. Have that in your contract as well. Even as a booth renter, I would put that in there. When there was a time that I needed to raise the booth rent. And so the girls had new contracts, but with that, I also gave them extra perks. So I also agreed with the raised booth rent that I would do additional advertising. And I did. I put the extra to help with that. And everything's negotiable. That's the thing. Now I can say I didn't always have to have a contract. I wish Becky could come on, because I know Becky and I've talked about some of the contracts as well. So we're going to figure out how to get her phone working up on there. But I actually did have to go to an attorney and get a contract made up years ago. And you got to know that it not only protects the tech, but it protects the salon. Now, in the state of Wyoming, if you're a booth renter, you also have to obtain a $75 a year, and it might even been raised since then, independent contractor license. So this means that if the state comes to inspect the salon, and I, as the owner, am not keeping it up to regulations, that tech is not going to get the I don't know, the form and all the, red marks against her. It's only going to go against me. But likewise, if the tech isn't staying clean, but the salon is, and I have proof that I've talked with her about her cleanliness, then she'll get the grade down rather than me. And so it's important to have the contract and the independent contractor, because it does cover both. The other thing that I would put into your contract as well is insurance. And for instance, my salon is actually, now I've owned a salon on Main Street for many years, and in 2 different locations we've been broke into. And it was just because they were breaking into every building. It wasn't that they set out to break into the nail salon. So twice our building has got broken into. One time they just stole money. The second time, they actually destroyed a lot of things. They went through every text drawer looking for money, is what we think. And they literally pulled out the drawers and threw them. Product was broke. Everything was all over. But the insurance that I had only covered they covered the building damage, which they broke the big front window to get in. And it covered only a dollar amount of product, which I believe at the time was like $2,000 or something. Becky! Come join us, girlfriend.
Let me turn off my phone. Holy cow. I'm on my laptop. I don't know what's going on here, but yeah.
That's all right. We gotcha. Hi, Becky.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Kim.
So I don't know if you were here, and so I was talking about the difference of contracted versus booth rent. And so I've been broken in twice, but the second time our salon was broken into, we had to turn it into an insurance claim because it did damage to the building. But I think it only covered like $2,000 or $2,500 in product, but they were only going to cover my product, not the booth renter's products. And so one of the things that you have to do as a booth renter is get a renter's insurance. It's only like $12 a year. It's really, really cheap. And then if for some reason you have any problem or the salon has any problems, flooding, whatever it might be, gets broken into, it will cover your product. And I can say, because they broke our desks, I had to change our insurance to cover more like $20,000 because we had 7 nail techs. And being that it broke some of the desks, it broke the glass on some of the desks, it well exceeded the $2,000, $2,500 that the insurance was. So really look at what the value of the product that you have. Another thing is I worked in another salon one time that somebody came in and vandalized, and they broke the tanning bed glass on purpose. They knew that they were doing. And so you have to make sure that your insurance, if you're the salon owner, will even cover the damages of that. And we know how much it costs to replace tanning bed bulbs and the glass for that. So yeah. So Becky, have you done like booth rent or commission over the years?
I've always been a booth renter, always.
And is there a reason why, or is that what was the option?
I like to be my own boss, plain and simple. I'm a boss girl. But I've always been a hard worker too. I'm dedicated. And, I tell people that don't survive in the industry. Like, there was just another post on another group today, can you make a living as it's somebody that's working another job and then working nails on the side. And it's like, can you make a living as a nail tech? Well, heck yes, you can. As a single mom for a while, I bought my own house on a nail tech, income in a little podunk town. Like, I seriously lived in a town of 2,500 people, and it is possible, but it's only possible if you're dedicated, you're willing, you work hard, and you know your costs. If you don't know your costs and you're charging a ridiculously low amount of money, you're never going to make it, because, you could just be working minimum wage somewhere else. There is money to be made in nails, absolutely, but you've got to do it the right way. So I've always just wanted to be my own boss, because I felt like, the rent was really reasonable where I was at, always being in a smaller community. But, I just want all the money myself.
I get it. I understand.
I'm greedy, whatever. I don't care how you look at it, but I just, I want to be in charge of my own money. I want to make what I make, and then I can buy my own products, what I want to buy, come and go, set my schedule as I want. That's just why I've always chose that, even when I first started out, because mainly I think when I first started out, it's because I want to use the products that I want to use. I don't want to rely on somebody else ordering them for me, worrying if I didn't have them in time. And as nail techs, you know how we are, we like to shop. So you wind up buying nail art stuff. You can't, I don't want to have to ask somebody to buy every single thing for me. And if I bought that stuff for myself, then the commission wasn't quite right, because I was actually providing a lot of, would have been providing a lot of my own supplies. So that's just why I've always done booth rent.
Yeah, exactly. So to just talk, Joanne says, in the UK, I've never experienced commission. It's either be employed by the salon owner and then they purchase the products that you have to set the wage, or it's self-employed where they supply their own and then they have control. And so Joanne, with that, do you still have contracts that you do to be able to say, this is the products that I want to have? Do they give you a budget every month where, you can buy new products as needed, or, build up your stock? And then Mickey says, what a privilege to have all three of us ladies on the screen.
So sweet, Mickey. Sorry.
I think they do that in New Jersey too. I have a friend, Celeste, that lives in New Jersey, and they don't do booth rent. It's not legal in New Jersey.
That's what Julia says.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. That'd be horrible.
Yeah. And so Delia, in the comments, even after we're done with this, post in some of the things that you've been able to do. Like, are you on a contract? Do you, even though you can't do booth rent, is it hourly, or is it hourly and commission? What do you do with all of that? And then Deb says, was this a scheduled live or a pop-up? I'm not getting notifications for my group for some reason. Anyone able to help? Yes, Deb. So this was scheduled. We created an event for it. So if you click going on any of the events, it will translate the time to your time zone. And then an hour before, it will send you a notification. And then once we're live, it will actually tell you that we're live. So the trick to that is click going on the events.
Yes. Going back to one thing that I just remembered, when, like with your regulations, how you're supposed to have an independent contractor license as well as your nail technician license. So here in Weber County, where I'm at, we don't have to have an independent contractor's license, but Ogden City, you do. You have to have a separate business license for them, and then your nail technician, but Weber County, we don't, which it's literally like a 10-minute difference in drive time.
Yeah, I've never had to do that either.
Yeah, so it's totally different. I think, you have to look at not only your state regulations, but you need to look at the county regulations and city regulations too, wherever you're at, because that will break it down to if you do have to have an independent contractor's license. If I could talk, it'd be great. Or anything like that. And so you definitely want to check with your, of course, your state, then your county, if you live in a county, and then your city, because they're all different regulations.
Yeah. So where you're at now, where there's multiple techs in your salon, if the state or city or county comes to inspect, is the salon owner here we're like on a grading system. And so does the salon owner get downgraded if for some reason you don't keep your station up to par?
No, from my understanding, which we've always passed wherever I've been, so I've never had any issues with it. But from my understanding, like at our old salon, we had a nail tech that was going to school, but she did not have her state license. And they were having her work underneath an instructor license, but she was making money, which is you're not supposed to do that while you're an apprentice. Right. So therefore, they got fined, both of them, the salon owner and her got fined, because they thought because they had an instructor's license in the salon that they could get away with it, type deal.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Kelly asked, with booth renting, what do you consider good or reasonable rent to pay? And Kelly, it really depends on where you live. I think overall it's relevant from across the states and around the world. I think our prices are all very similar, but say for instance, the cost of living here is lower, so all the nail prices will be lower. And for the same service, the cost of living is a little bit higher somewhere else, and the nail service is going to be a little bit higher. But I think when it comes down to the financial part of it, it's all pretty similar. I know in California, when I started 27 years ago, I'd moved back to California, and the booth rent was $400 a week. But in Wyoming, I know, let's just say that I couldn't afford it, moved back to Wyoming. In Wyoming, it was, like $200 a month. And so it was a huge difference. But the cost of nails in California were a lot different than what we had in Wyoming as well. So like I said, I think it's pretty all relevant. I find the average booth rent was around $300 a month. So $100 a week, $300 a month. What do you guys think?
I know the salon suites in Vegas, which is an hour and a half from me, they can pay up to $1,200 a month. It's really expensive. So like you said, that's something you have to take into consideration when you're trying to figure out your prices, because if you're going to only be charging $50 for a full set, you're never going to make it. You're never going to make it. So
ouch. Yeah.
Utah, I would say the average is, $50 a week. I mean, maybe, gosh, I don't know.
50 to 125 a week.
Yeah, anywhere. It ranges anywhere from there, from 50 to 100, 125 a week. So,
and that's where I would do your legwork and go around and talk to other techs and say, what are you paying? Maybe put something out on social media. What's an average? And, people will usually share that with you. Likewise, I have my contract here of what my attorney had put up years ago. I'm going to go ahead and post this. It probably won't post in the comments of this live. Sometimes they won't let you post pictures, but somewhere I will get that posted. I need to white out some names so you guys can use this as a baseline as well. Because there's many things in the contract that a lot of people don't realize is that sometimes there's the key, the access to the building, the insurances. Who cleans your station? Is that hired on from the salon, or do you clean your own station as well? Let alone the supplies, all of that kind of stuff.
Hey guys, my client's here. I'm getting ready to do a pedicure. I love you all. I'm glad I got to come on for a minute, and hopefully I can figure this out with the phone. So guys, have a great day.
Bye. Another thing with that, Amy, too, is like with us, we all, we take care of our own little stations and our own little section, but 2 times a year, we all come in and we're all assigned, we pick a cleaning tour. And so we all are responsible to come in and clean that and help deep clean the salon. And that's what helps keep our booth rent lower, is because we come in, we work with her so that she doesn't have to hire somebody else to come in to deep clean every 6 months. So that helps a lot. She puts a list up, we sign up for what we want to do, and then we take care of that. But our stations are ours to clean as well.
Yeah. Another thing that was in my contract was personal hygiene. I didn't make them wear uniforms or anything like that, but they had to come clean. They had to come presented. I actually had no foul language, which, sometimes you can get into laughing as a group salon and there'll be a foul language, but when it's excessive, you need to be professional. And so as a salon owner, you have to take into that. I see you laughing.
You should hear us some nights on Thursdays. I'm just saying.
Okay, so maybe there'll be an exception in your contract on the Thursday nights. You can cuss all you want, but by Monday morning, it better be cleaned up.
Right. But no, that's also a good provision to put into a contract, because one, we work in the beauty industry. If you do not come presentable like you work in the beauty industry, you don't have to have full makeup and full hair, but look like you're proud of the industry you come from. And there's sometimes I don't even put makeup on, but I at least do my hair or something. But you want to be presentable, just like anybody. Anybody comes in. It's like going to a hairdresser. Would you want to go to a hairdresser that has her hair up in a ponytail and it's all scraggly and looking like crap? No, because if that's how she takes care of her hair, why, what is she going to do to mine? So it's the same as, your nail tech. Like I always say, make sure your nails are always done. It doesn't matter if you do them or somebody else does them, because when you walk into that salon and you sit down and your nail tech's nails aren't done, you're wondering, well, gall, like, how are they going to look? So you want to look presentable. So I think that's a great clause to have in that contract.
Yes, yes. So Miss Shemazy Nails is on here, and she says, when you are a booth renter, do I have to, and it says respond to everything like massage chair, table, customer chair, and I'm thinking she means supply maybe. So I don't know about massage chair and table, but when you're a booth renter, are you meaning that you have to pay for each section of that? So for instance, hairdressers have to pay sometimes 2 booth rent stations. They're paying for their hair station and then their nail station. And so if that's what you're meaning, then yeah, usually you'll need to negotiate that. But however, you're not a dresser or a tech that can do all of those booth stations, all the time. They're not being filled. So can you subcontract with another tech and share a table? There's lots of options in there that you can do. So you'll need to figure out what your primary source of income is. Where do you really want to be? And if there's something you don't really want to do and you're paying rent on it and holding the supply for it, but it's not where your passion is, give it up. Go
right
to where your passion is. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I didn't realize how many people was watching. I don't see a whole lot more questions. So if you guys have questions, we'll be on just for a few more minutes. And so wonderful. Again, today's topic, commission versus booth rent.
Yeah, Joanne said some employers ask you for a list and buy what you need to an extent. There's usually no contact as far as products are concerned. But there should be a contract of employment in place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So whether you were an employee, there needs to be a list of what your expectations are as an employee. Do they want you in your free time to be cleaning, all that kind of stuff? And advertising, who's paying for advertising, who's paying for cleaning, who's paying for products. So even if you're an employee, I would make sure that there's some sort of a written agreement that protects you as well. And then guys, I can't stress this enough. When you are in a big salon and it comes into the inspections, whether it's local health inspector, because maybe you guys serve coffee and some food or whatever, make sure that if you are a booth renter, that it's in your contract that you're not responsible for the owner's responsibility of those things. So for instance, if there's a refrigerator and there's expired food in it and it goes against the health department, you're not going to be in trouble for that. It's the salon owner's responsibility. So know what's your responsibility versus this. And just simply have it even handwritten up. It doesn't have to be a legal binding contract, but it helps you and it helps them in the long haul for anything that might come up.
Kelly just said I rent, but the salon I'm in has the petty chair and workstation. But if you rent a space, you may have to buy these.
Okay. So what you're saying is that, okay, so for instance, usually when you rent, you are supplied with your client chair, your chair, and the table, maybe the glass on the table and a table light, and then a power source. Honestly, when you're renting, it's the most basic. So if you have anything beyond that, maybe they're supplying you with the lamps for your desk, or maybe your desk has a dust extractor in it, then make sure every little detail's put in there, just like you were renting a house. What condition was it in when you rented it? Was the hydraulics on the chair not working when you rented it? Because if so, later on when you terminate this contract, you can say that was not working when I purchased, or when I purchased or started working here. So there should be a checkoff sheet that helps these are the items that was provided for me when I started. And then later on, if there might be something that you want and your owner is willing to pay like half, then revisit that contract and have that updated. And this was my investment, this was their investment, and put a dollar amount to that. And then when it comes at the end, your owner might have to give you, a reimbursement if they keep that chair. And so there's lots of things. Like I said, everything's negotiable. And, post the questions in here because, we can all help each other.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I was so excited to be able to talk about this topic because I think it's so important. And I think that we forget that there's options out there. So if there's a salon
Right.
you want to work out, you don't have a clientele yet, you don't have the products yet, you know, maybe it's an existing salon and they already have the products and they for 6 months might be willing to do a commission with you to help out both sides. And then once you have your clientele, then you can change over into a booth rent or a higher percentage or something. And so everything's negotiable. You just have to open up and talk. And if the salon owner is not willing to open up and, you know, negotiate with you, it might not be the right place for you to go work. And it might be worth, you know, renting your own little small space and, you know, doing it from the ground up. It's
Right.
hard, but it's worth it. So worth it.
Hard work and dedication you put into your career is what your payout will be. So it's a matter of how hard you're willing to work and you're willing to push yourself to get to that next level. And that's like the biggest thing that people, you know, need to realize, that in yourself, it's your drive. It's what you want to do. And so if you feel it's not a good fit, go to the next. Don't stay there and get stuck and get in a slump, because if you do, you're going to hate what you do, even though it's something that you're passionate about.
Yeah. Another suggestion that I can have is, you know, when we work in a salon where there's a whole bunch of techs, and let's say you want to invest in a certain glitter, and everybody's going to chip in a few dollars and they're going to share it. I know this sounds sad, but I think over, you know, experiences that I've seen and stuff like that, then if there's 5 nail techs that are all chipping in, buy 5 containers, and when the item comes in, divide it up between everybody and they all have their own supply. It's nice to be able to share, but I can tell you there's always one person that feels that they got the raw end of the deal. Maybe somebody spilled it and then the rest of the people don't get it. But when you have your own supply, it's your own responsibility. And so how do you guys do that in your salon?
So, like, for instance, me and Cassie that works here, we share a lot of products. Like, me and Dean and Cassie, we all went in and we all bought the Joya Mia Chrome set. So we have all 24 colors. We all paid for it equally, and we just keep it in, actually we keep it in Cassie's station. And when we use it, we just use it. And then when it needs to be replaced, it's basically whoever was the last one to use it, we replace it, and then we just kind of rotate it. And like, we use the base coat for genre. Me and Cassie, when she buys it, I'll buy the next bottle, and vice versa. So it makes it easier. So we're both spending equal, even if we're not using it. I'm not one of those. It's like you use 3/4 of it and I only used half.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's easier just to be like, nope, you buy this bottle, I'll buy the next bottle. And then you don't have the fight, but that's something that you need to consider if you're going to share a product with somebody. Make sure that person's not going to get butthurt if you use it more than they do, or vice versa.
Exactly. Because if that's the case, just purchase it yourself and then charge them every time they want to use yours or something, you know, like
Right.
Lots of ways of keeping it even.
Yeah. I mean, like Cassie, my In Vogue modeling resin that I use, Cassie was using it until we got some more. And so she turned around, she goes, here's $20. You know, I'm not using a lot of it, but here you go, just to compensate for her using the product. So if you are going to use products from somebody else, make sure you compensate them for it, like, regardless, because they're being nice, letting you use it. And in return, they're going to keep letting you use things if you compensate them.
Yeah, exactly. Wonderful. I think we got to cover a lot of topics, even though we're trying to do these 30-minute sessions, which we've been on for a little bit more than 30 minutes. But Kim, it's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
I know, it's been great.
Yeah. So any last words that you want to add in about commission versus booth rent?
Just go with your gut feeling.
Yes. Yes.
If you have a gut feeling about it, go with it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So even if you're watching this on replay, go ahead and make the comments. If you want to make sure that Kim or I or Becky read them, you're going to have to tag our names, so it will send us a notification. If not, we don't always get to see it. And so we have, you know, we can answer questions. If not, we'll get you in touch with the right people to ask. Usually it's within your own state and or some sort of an inspector.
One more thing real fast before you say bye-bye. Make sure when you go into your salon that they allow you to do a walkthrough. So you can walk, you can look at it, you can look at every section. That's one thing about Dina, the salon owner. She had us, like, we went to every room, walked around. We were able to look everywhere before, like, we even decided if we wanted to be here. So make sure that you do that when you are looking before you sign any contract.
Yep. Just like Jill said, and like what we said earlier, have a list of questions to ask the owner and interview them. Just like what we were saying earlier, like interview them just as much as they're interviewing you, because you're investing in them and they're investing in you. And so you have to work with these people every single day. They better be somebody that you want to.
Right.
Yeah, exactly that. So wonderful. So like I said, I'll see if I can, I'll white out the names in here and I'll see if I can post this contract up. This was drawn up by an attorney years ago. I noticed the check sheet's not in there, but you'll be going through your salon to create the check sheet of what you have available anyways. And just make sure that it gets signed, copied, and then, you know, given to a copy to you and a copy to the owner for you guys to revisit at other times. If you have any other questions or anything else to post, go ahead and do it, even if it's on replay. And then every month, and we decided it's going to be the first Monday of every month at 1 o'clock Mountain Time. That way, it seems to kind of be the best time to cover internationally as well. We're going to pick one topic. We'll post it in the events section. So if you click going, it will translate it to your time and send you a reminder. And then if you can't join us live and you have a question, then you can post in that event and we can talk about it live and answer that for you. And yeah, so we think this would be a fun, good coffee talk session. You know, on Thursdays, Becky's doing Thirsty Thursdays, which is a motivation, as well as covering topics, you know, that are similar. On Tech Talk Live, we're live almost every week. You guys know I took a little bit of a break, but actually tomorrow we start Tech Talk Live again. Every week we start with JoJo Wickens. And so once again, they're in the event section. If you click going, it will send you a reminder. And so we are active. Our group for 2019, we've been, you know, up for a year, which you guys saw that Kim went live with a 1-year big celebration. We're on fire. Our tribe is growing.
Yes, it is.
I love it.
I do too. It's been fun.
Well, Kim and Cassie, thanks for joining in and sharing your knowledge with everybody as well. And we'll catch you next month with another episode of Coffee Talk.
Okay, bye.
Bye.